So next job is where I've cut these two cables off the solar, the MC4 connectors. As you can see, there's MC4 connectors that connect to the Bluetti panels and into this XT90 plug. So rather than plug into that and have loads of different connections, all I'm going to do is I've got some male connectors which go directly into it. Next job. So obviously we have a power station. Now the thing is with a power station is it's set up very differently, or the van build is very different. Now what I'm going to attempt to do is connect this cigarette lighter socket, male, into the Bluetti socket, like so. Jesus, or not, as the case may be. Right, what's going on with this then? Nothing, it's just very tight. Now I noticed there was a few fuses up there and I'm assuming that they are spare ones. So that's going to get connected into there, like so. Then this, whoa, as you probably guessed or not, is a fuse box. So this is going to connect to the fuse box, although I could probably do with some longer wires, or not. We could put it through and screw it on the back so it's out of the way. But this will connect to positive and negative, like so. And then we'll have power, as you will soon see. If I can open it. I keep looking over there because I'm waiting for a delivery. So, very simple, positive. Well, we're taking too many washers off that one. Positive washer, locking nut, or locking washer, or whatever they're called. That goes on there. We will go and get the spanner to tighten that up, which I needed anyway, so I may as well have just gone and got it. And the negative. Let's put it that way, looks nicer that way. So if anyone was wondering how on earth you connect your lights when you've got a power station, here's the answer. So that will now work. So if I was to connect something to there and there, a red light would come on until I put a fuse in. I don't actually have anything. Yes, I do. So another thing we're going to connect, it's not an empty bag, is some super fast charging USB sockets. Used these in the old van and they're very good, very quick at charging. Although arguably I've got one here, but why not? Is that long enough? That's the question. Is that long enough? I don't know how to do this. It's 12 volt, so it needs to, if I connect it direct to the battery, it's going to be permanently on. Let's have a look at the cables that came with it, because I don't think they've got a switch. No, it's just a direct. So if I turn that, unless there's a switch on here, there's a switch on here, so I'll have to turn it on. I'll have to remember to turn it off, otherwise it'll kill my battery really quickly. I need to connect this to a 12 volt source that when I turn the engine on, it comes on. So this is where the battery is, in a Sprinter and a Cr50. Let's get a bit of power on. And there's the battery. So let's see what happens with this amazing inverter. Right, it's back on. Let's plug in. How can I do this with no hands? See what happens. Hopefully this blows and not the Bluetti if it's wrong. What we're looking for is this to start flashing. Okay, it's kicked in. 383 watts, that's huge. That is absolutely huge. Well, that's it. I think I've done it. I think I've actually done it. And that is a lot of power coming in, direct from the battery. I think it's drawing too much power, and I think the van battery recognises that. So I'm going to start the van up and try again and see if it stays on properly. So now we know the alternator's charging the battery, so it's going to be nice and high. It's just turned on, and it sits at 380 watts. Which is absolutely brilliant. I mean, that's not going to take long to charge it all. 381 watts. I'm just going to watch it for a minute and see what happens. Make sure it stays on. As long as it stays on, that's probably the fault. Probably just need to remember that the van needs to be on. So I also need to remember to turn it on only while I'm driving. I need to turn it off. Otherwise, if I don't turn it off, the van battery will be dead. But yeah, that's staying on now, so that's obviously what it is. It recognises that the van battery, that's 1 minute. It probably just isn't powerful enough, so the engine does need to be on, the alternator needs to be running to power the inverter. Okay, so this unit is output is 411 watts. That inverter is 500 watts, so it's pretty close to its limit. So that's 2 minutes now it's been running for. It's been running fine, so we've done it. We have done it. Right, so as I came back in here to disconnect these cables and make them a more permanent fix, this one was smoking. This tape, as you can probably see, you can't because it's not in focus, but this tape has actually melted and it was smoking, and all of this cable was really hot to touch, and I'm not sure why that is. I do not know enough about electricity to understand that, so I'm gonna have to disconnect it and think what that could be. It's clearly got something to do with the amount of power it's pulling. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about electrics. I need somebody to have a look at this, I think. or get on YouTube. Right, we've connected the negative to the chassis using a metal screw. This is not cut out at all. It's been going for about 2 minutes now. Getting 384 watts, which is huge. And everything seems fine, nothing's getting hot, so I'm going to start the engine and see what happens this time. So, while trying to figure out with the help of a few friends why the cable is getting hot, and I think that's purely because there's too much power being drawn. Not too much, there's power being drawn, that's a lot. I probably need a thicker cable, and then it will get hot, but it will be okay. Looking at the other cables that are at the front there, they are like 3 times as thick, so I probably just need a thicker cable and everything will be fine. But for now, we move on to something else. As you can tell, it's getting dark, so I bought some LED spotlights, some things that I actually didn't want, but I bought them now, and I'm just going to install one of them, so I have got some light in the van. I'm sure it's pretty straightforward, just a red and a green, red and a black cable, and obviously the light will come on. I'm not sure how it comes on, probably instantly, in which case I'm going to have to fit a switch so I can turn my light on and off. So I assume as soon as I do that and that, the light will come on. They're actually quite nice. They're actually quite a nice colour. I actually quite like them. I didn't think I would. Oh, okay. Well, I've got a switch somewhere. No idea what I've done with it, but somewhere I have a switch. So let's get that sorted out, and then we've got a little bit of light in here. In fact, I might even put 2 of them up. Okay, so when I went away the other day in the van, the temperature at night was 6 degrees, and inside the van was 7 degrees. That's a 1 temperature difference with 50mm insulation and closed cell foam everywhere, which is basically impossible. But the reason for that is nothing is sealed, so apart from that nasty little piece of tape that goes across the floor, there is no sealing anywhere around, including the gap between the door that's like 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, but also the bulkhead wasn't sealed as well. So what I've decided to do today is I've removed the insulation off the back of here. I've marked up with a pen exactly where I need to cut, and I'm going to insert the insulation into here. These are 25mm thick, the insulation is 50. So what I'm then going to have to do is fill these gaps, and I'll probably do that either with spray foam or maybe a little bit of I don't know, some form of insulation, and then we'll ply on this side, and on the other side we'll use closed cell foam. And we're also going to cut a hole through to get through the door. So I've already done the lines, so I'm now going to cut it. So as you can see from here, we've got the kind of timbers marked out, if you like. So one by one I'm going to cut these out, and I'm going to use the jigsaw to do it because it's quick. And yeah, we'll go and place them in, and we'll see what happens. So now, obviously I measured this from the inside, so it looks like it doesn't fit, but it does because the board is only so high. So that will now fit there, like so. And the rest of the panels that I've actually marked out will cover this area here. And I actually have some other pieces that fit in the remaining part, which will also then need to be measured and cut to size as well. It just so happens that that's perfect. Who would have known? But they will be after. let's carry on. I'm just gonna, now I've got them all in place, I'm just gonna stick some tape on, roughly, just so they don't fly off anywhere, because this is all going to get covered in closed cell foam, which means it will stick to it anyway, and also that acts as a vapor barrier. By vapor barrier I just purely mean it makes it airtight. So we just want this to hold it in place, really. The gun is stuck open. So there we have, completely sealed and insulated. Well, I say completely, I still need to run the tape across the corners, edges and middle, and then obviously cut my door in the front, but we're all done. We're getting there. Alright, we're starting to lose light already, that's a problem. In the week there's not a lot of time to get things done, but soon be the weekend. So you've got all that sealed up now, so that should stop some of the cold leaking through to the front of the cab. There's still all this area here where, you know, it is sealed, but it's not sort of, I know we call it vapor barriering, but it's not airtight. It's certainly not airtight, so I still need to work out what it is that I'm actually going to do with this area. Sorry, you can't see that very well, but effectively it's going to be blocked off with something, I think, and then closed cell foam as well. So yeah, while I have a think about that, what I have noticed is the back of the cab was really quiet until I installed the maxxair fan. Now that underneath there, the plastic is just a thin piece of plastic with a rubber seal around it, so there is no heat retention properties, and there is also no soundproofing either. So what I'm going to attempt to do now is use a bit of 25mm Celotex, cut it to this shape, try and get it all at an angle and nice and curved, take out this little notch here, and I want it to sit flush with the with this recess, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make a I'm going to cover it in some of the leftover closed cell foam that I've got, that'll give it a bit of sound deadening as well, and then I'm probably going to carpet it, and probably what I'll do is I'll put some magnets behind here, and what that will do is a magnet's in the edge of the carpet as well, so I can just literally just magnet it in place, and it will offer me some form of insulation and a little bit of soundproofing as well. So hopefully that will stop the cold seeping out. I mean, hot air rises, right? So all of the hot air is going to go straight up to here and just escape out of there. So yeah, you can insulate your van as much as you like, but you need to get where all the little cold air, where any of the warm air can escape from, and obviously the warm air is definitely going to escape from the top, and also the cold air. I know you probably can't see this, this is the side step. There's a little gap here where you genuinely can't see anything, but there's a small gap down the side of the door which you could probably just make out. That also needs attention. Of course, cold air comes from the bottom, so it's going to suck itself through there, and then it's going to sort of radiate itself out to the atmosphere through the top as warm air. So yeah, we're almost there. There's a lot to do. Obviously, you know, it probably looks like I'm flying through this, but I've done the easy bits, the big drastic bits first. It's the same like if I was going to put the roof up and the walls up. It will probably take me 6 to 8 hours to do with cladding, maybe even less than that. And it would make a massive drastic distance. If I carpeted that black, again, it would make a huge difference. And people will be saying, wow, look how fast you're getting through it. But there's a lot of things that take a lot of time, so we need to slow down and we need to make sure we get things right now, because these are the important bits. As I said, there's no point putting loads of insulation in if you've got loads of gaps. So we need to get all that sorted out as well, and things like this. So I've got little screws here that need to come out, so I need to take these screws out. And then obviously I can then insulate the van properly, right down to the seal. Or maybe, since that's on the door, maybe I could actually go all the way down to there. We don't know yet, we're not sure. So we're getting there though, we're definitely getting there. And one thing I must say is, when I stayed in the van the other day, there was absolutely no condensation anywhere in the back of this cab. It was all on the front window. So yeah, that's a good thing. It means that the back's really well insulated. Even along the top bar there, in my old van, it always gets insulation, condensation on it. And there was none on this. Anyway, we're waffling, so let's see what we can do before it actually gets pitch black. So we're looking about 34.2. So now we've got the shape of whatever it's called, but rather than cut it to perfect size, I'm sure it's going to sit in wrong places at times. So I'm just going to roughly cut what would be a circle. Well, for now, I'm going to put a handle on this and just use this. Need a handle.